the best sales presentation is the one you haven't invented yet. Until you're closing 100% of your deals, you have opportunity for improvement.
Welcome, guys. We're in episode 99. All right. This episode is like a mini course for anyone wanting to generate more revenue and more time in their business. And I'm not kidding. There are 3 incredibly succinct, tactical steps that you're going to learn in this episode. I actually recommend that you have this in your earbuds or your YouTubes and you are in a place where you can take notes, because I'm serious, you're going to want to action this. It's profound. So I'm going to introduce you to the guest. Now, this guy I met in one of my recent sort of mastermindy phone calls that I'm doing just to branch out, meet new people. Now, I want to introduce you to someone named Cary Chessick. And Cary is the founder and CEO of Profitology.com. Now, he basically specializes in executive coaching and sales marketing and execution. Guys, he has over 10,000 coaching sessions under his belt. He's been recognized as Ernst & Young's Midwest Entrepreneur of the Year and an American Business Awards finalist. But it's actually the journey before that you're going to hear that's incredible of really what helps him do what he does today. But I'll just give you a little snapshot. He actually owned restaurant.com, you guys, one of the original domains. And he had 18,000 customers, merchants with 5 million consumers at the height of this business, you guys. He was, Chicago's Tribune's top workplaces. He had a Gold Stevie Award. He has incredible advice and wisdom from growing this incredible business. And he was a lawyer. That's what he did before all this. So you're going to hear a little bit about his journey, but you're definitely going to hear his 3-step process that you guys are going to be in awe of, fall in love with. This already changed my business in a lot of ways, and I can't wait to share him with you. So let's welcome him to the show. Cary, welcome to the show. I'm so happy that you're here, and we're having this chat from your lake home.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here. And yes, looking forward to talking to you today.
I hung out with Cary like a couple months ago on a really interesting call with a few other business owners. And if ever there were a naturally gifted coach, I think it's Cary. And that's why I wanted to have him on the show, because not only am I going to get in behind the scenes of your journey and who you are selfishly for myself, but also I know that along the way, the experiences you're going to share are going to be invaluable for our listeners. So
thank you.
Here we go.
Very kind of you.
Yeah, so true though. So often I find the most successful people are the most humble. And I think that would wrap you up from what I know about you so far. So, but we'll see, huh?
Thanks. Yeah. You made me talk on this show.
We're going. So we're starting with some tangibles. So we're going to do some takeaways. So we are going to get into your backstory and your journey of your businesses, your journey, amazing, in a moment. And you work with incredibly talented individuals. So I'm happy for you to take this question one of 2 ways. It can be about yourself and your businesses or your clients. But what are 3 tips that you have around growing a business, scaling a business, but doing it in a way you're not going to go insane with stress?
Okay. Well, I will tell you, I drink my own Kool-Aid, so I practice the same things that I teach.
Great.
And so, tip number 1. So there's this saying, like, sales solves all problems, because when the revenue is coming in, you have a moment to breathe, sit back, relax, and focus on other things. And when sales and the revenue is not coming in, stress tends to increase. So ironically, I do teach 3 things, and I'll talk about those 3 things. The first is what I call pitch before product. As entrepreneurs and as business owners, we come up with ideas, we create companies that we want to solve problems and bring opportunities to the market. So we start a business that with a product or a service, And then we go to market and we try to sell it and we hope somebody could buy it. And that's how we do it, right?
Yeah.
And what this does is it flips that on its head and reverses the order, regardless of what stage of the business you're at. First, write out the sales script word for word that is the most compelling, captivating, and convincing you can think of, and walk it on backwards. And I hope your product or service matches something closely related to what you said. But instead of creating the product or the service and then trying to figure out what to say, start with being persuasive. And in that script, word for word, you'll be surprised like what ahas jump out at you. And while you're doing that, write down the top 3 objections,
Yeah.
the best answers you can think of, and write the top 3 frequently asked questions that you get when you're presenting to a prospect, and the best answers you can think of. That is what we call version 1. That's just a starting point. The best sales presentation is the one you haven't invented yet. Until you're closing 100% of your deals, you have opportunity for improvement. But that's generally not what happens. We think about improving our products or our services, and usually the founder is selling and the founder comes up with a presentation. And regardless of the audience that we're selling to, the presentation tends to remain static. For example, we may be using the same presentation deck that we created 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Why not create a project for yourself, a process for improving the presentation, starting with pitch before product or service, and writing out the objections and the frequently asked questions. Put it in your calendar every 30 days to go back to see what you have learned in the last 30 days that can improve your pitch, your responses to the objections, your FAQs. As a business owner, you would think that this has happened to me. You would think we have our number one. If I were to give you, here's an assignment for the whole audience.
Great.
Write down your number one objection and the most compelling and captivating and convincing response to it. Do that right now. I will tell you this, having done this quite a few times. You would think we all have that completely nailed. Like that just flows right out of onto the paper or into the computer. But it sometimes can take like 5 minutes. Like, wow, I don't have this nailed. This one thing that can win us the business right now if we crush the number one objection. Have it nailed down and then make it better every month. Tip number 1, pitch before product. Does that make sense?
That's absolutely brilliant. And I have to just say something about that too. You mentioned that on the initial call where I met you, and I took that to heart, just so you know. I went off and started pitching a new concept that I want to introduce in our business. I've sent it to our list of previous past clients, or it's the same thing, previous and current clients, as well as just testing the markets with new people that I've been meeting. And I think it's going to take off and be massive. And I don't even have it created yet because I listened to that. So there's so much in that, and you learn so much through the process. And now I know actually what people want.
Right. So when you do pitch before product, you go out with your best version.
Yep.
And you have conversations with people.
Yep.
And you invite them through their questions and their objections. You invite them into the brainstorm room about the product and the service that you're offering. Because if you don't, it's just all of us entrepreneurs sitting around, with the whiteboard, coming up with the ideas. The faster you can invite the customer into the brainstorm session, the more likely you have product market fit. And when I say product market fit, most of your audience will understand. Can you sell something, a product or a service, and is it priced right? And does the marketplace, does it resonate with the marketplace? Pitch before product is what I call content market fit. Do the words that you say and the images in your presentation resonate with the buyer?
Yeah.
That's content market fit. And
That's
so
brilliant.
you can get there if you just make it an assignment and then do it.
It's so
But I'm
good.
glad
It's so
I'm
good.
glad to, I'm glad to hear it's helping you.
Oh, massively, massively. So what's tip number two? So we have the pitch before product. What's the next one?
All right. Um, Entrepreneurs typically are selling a product or a service. Sometimes they have marketing. In most cases, maybe some form of marketing. Even just having a website is a form of marketing,
Yeah.
whether you are actively optimizing that or not. Maybe you're doing some SEO. Maybe you're posting in a social channel. Well, what happens is that sales and marketing tends to work in silos. They don't tend to work as a singular business unit. And sales is more of a static presentation typically. So you create your presentation, and as I just said, many cases, it's the same presentation you've been using for 6 months. Well,
Mm-hmm.
in marketing, especially online marketing, where most of the marketing is, we can post something and get feedback instantaneously. So
Yep.
we're getting data about what is resonating in the marketplace instantaneously on the marketing side. And tend generally speaking, as marketers, we're data geeks. Like, did this word work? Did this color work? Did that word work? Did this color work? And so we get a lot of data really quickly. And if we decide to engage in a marketing channel, we can leverage that data to optimize the conversion rate of the traffic coming to our site. And in sales, we're generally pretty static. Now, and that's because there really aren't, most companies have not built systems to share data back and forth between sales and marketing. And so tip number two is what I call the sales and marketing pendulum. And it's developing a system to take data from the sales side of your business. And what I mean by that is the words that come out of the prospect's mouth. That's the data I'm talking about. So while you're presenting these things like questions that they ask, objections that they raise, those are the data points that are very valuable to you.
Yeah.
And on the marketing side, any ads that you put up, any posts that you put up, you know which ones work better. And so you look at the words and the images that are in those ads and posts. That's the data I'm talking about on the marketing side. So I'll give
Uh-huh.
you an example of how this really, really worked for one of my clients. So they were trying to win the business of a very large consumer electronics company, a competitor to Ring Doorbell. And the prospect said, we really, really need our technical experts to solve the customer's problem on the phone. And in the case of a competitor to Ring Doorbell, we're talking typically about the battery in the camera. Let's say
Yep.
the camera's not working. And so they have to be efficient and convincing and make it sound easy, because sometimes the homeowners don't want to like go climb up on that ladder and do whatever work needs to be done. But the prospect said, we have to solve the problem because we can't roll the trucks. And we're all like, what do you mean roll the trucks? What does that mean? And they say, if we can't solve the problem on the phone, we have to send two people literally out in a truck to the homeowner's home to change a battery. Now we're upside down. Our ROI is gone. We have lost money on that customer for life because it's way too expensive for us to
Mm.
send that those people out to the home. And so we took those magic words, or we took those words, we can't roll the trucks, and we swung it on over to marketing. And then we did a marketing campaign that said, don't roll the trucks. Now that means absolutely nothing to you and I, but every single buyer in the consumer electronics space that's competing with that type of product, that pops right out at them. That speaks exactly to what their needs are. And so we got a lot of leads inbound. And that's what I mean by taking sales data and sharing it with marketing, and then marketing data. So imagine a high performing ad, whatever it may be, it converts, you get leads. wouldn't it be nice, regardless what the words are, wouldn't it be nice if uh, somebody clicked the blue ad that said, uh, whatever, don't roll the trucks.
Yep.
And in the follow-up email, not in a creepy way, but you reference the fact, something about, you know what ad they clicked on, you know what the words were, you have all that data right at your fingertips. You mention it while you're setting up the meeting, and then in your now you have an agile sales presentation. So maybe if you have a sales deck, maybe in slide number 2, right at the beginning, you move those words and images that resonated with the prospect online, and you add them into your sales deck. And so what you're going after is that prospect is thinking like, wow, these people really get me.
Yes. Brilliant.
And it's
Oh my
just a
gosh.
process. It's a process of taking data and moving it from one side and using it on the other side, taking data from the marketing side, moving it on the sales side. And what happens is you increase the leads and you increase the conversion rate, your close rate on the deals. So you shorten the sales cycle by speaking their language, you close more deals faster. Does that
It's
make sense?
actually makes perfect sense. I always say when I'm working in marketing with companies is it's all just conversations. You start a conversation in an ad, for example, and if it's not a consistent conversation from there, like if you were to take somebody to a homepage of your website, there's no conversation happening. You're just cutting off and starting a new conversation. And that's my sort of, I guess, simplified way of sort of saying what you're saying, which is absolutely brilliant. It's maintaining a custom conversation throughout the entire process. I love that.
Yes, and it can um it does. You don't have to build an empire to share data from sales to marketing and marketing to sales. You can make a
No.
very simple process that you routinely do after. For example, make notes as and every 30 days say, what did I learn from the sales side that I want to share with marketing, and what did I learn on the marketing side that I want to share with sales, even if it's just an individual entrepreneur. But if you book it in your calendar, what did I learn from sales and marketing that I should share
Yeah.
across departments? You have a system, even
Yeah.
if it's as simple as a 30-day meeting with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Depending on where you are in the process. Do you know, it's so funny. The other day I was also doing a bit of upskilling for a couple teams inside of a consumer electronic company myself. And I was talking to them and I was saying, because I was with a whole different marketing team, probably, I think there was 15 or 18 people in the room. And I said, guys, when was the last time you met with your sales team to just hear what the objections are? And I probably even got that from you from the original call. I don't remember, but I was asking the question, and one of the teams, which was for personal care products, was saying, uh, I don't know when if we've spoken to the sales team. And then the other guys, they're more the larger electronics. They were saying, do you know, we actually speak with them quarterly. We sit down and we meet, and then we actually get the objections and what the customers are saying, so we can put it into our marketing. And then I started having the two sides of the table have conversations around whose marketing was better. And sure enough, the one that was talking to the sales teams on a consistent basis were nailing their campaigns and their conversions. So incredible.
This is sometimes I have conversations with marketers and I say, what do you think your job is here? And they may say something like, get clicks, drive traffic, drive
Mm.
leads. And sometimes I'm joking around. I'm like, clicks don't make payroll. Sales make payroll. There's
Yeah.
only one mission in this company, and that's to close deals.
Yeah.
And that's how we unite on the same team. Like, they
Yeah.
need the leads. They have to be the right leads, qualified leads. But sharing language, why not do that? Every 90 days is better than not sharing at all. There's
Yeah.
not also nothing wrong with speeding up the cadence. The market moves fast,
Yeah.
and you want to be agile, but it's better to do it than not do it.
Absolutely. I'm sold. So number one, pitch before a product. Number two was sales and marketing pendulum. Number three, what's that tip?
Number 3, is called stack ranking revenue. This will help take stress out of your life. That's for sure. In its simplicity, it means doing the things that will generate the most money in the shortest period of time first before working on other things. That sounds absurd. We all naturally want to do that. That's not how life is. The way we work and the way teams work, so if we're incredibly overloaded with work, sometimes we work top of the inbox down. We're just burying out of the inbox so we can get to our work. And then naturally, it's just human behavior. We have a tendency to work on the things that we like and that we're good at before working on things that we dislike and we're not good at. And so we procrastinate on things that we're not as good at, having no relationship to revenue. Imagine if you and all your team, all collectively, every single day, worked on the things that generated the most revenue in the shortest period of time first before working on other things. Think how efficient you would be. And what happens quarter over quarter is if you as a team all work on the things that generate the most revenue in the shortest period of time first, you tend to make money faster, and then you do that the next quarter as well, and over and over and over again, and then you end up having a better year. But here's the process. There's a process, a format for determining how you should outline your tasks so that you can determine which ones float to the top and which ones float to the bottom. And the way to do that is put them in this format. And anyone on this podcast can write it out. Take a task, make it time bound, make it specific, and make it measurable. So here's an example. I'm going to increase email conversion by 1% by March 31st.
Yep.
That's a high revenue task.
Yeah.
So I say high revenue, increase conversion by March 31st, high revenue. If I increase conversion, I know it's high revenue because I know I'm in a hypothetical. Moving your conversion on your email campaigns from whatever 5% to 6% would make a big difference typically. So that's time bound. You have a deadline. That's specific. An outside third party can read it and know exactly what that means, and it's measurable. There's the hardest part is measurable, and the reason that's the hardest part, we don't talk that way. We sit in meetings and say, wouldn't it be great if we increased our email conversion? High revenue. No, we don't talk that way. And so all of a sudden we get an assignment, increase email conversion, but it's not time bound. It's not measurable.
Yeah.
And so putting that out there, if you're good at it, you would even know what 1% increase would be. So you could put high revenue and the actual revenue would be. If you list all your to-dos in that format, time-bound, specific, and measurable, you have done a couple things. You have written out extreme clarity on what you and the team will be working on. Number two, you have created a deadline-driven organization for yourself. Not that deadlines are always hit. Many times they're missed, and that's totally okay. Just move the deadline if the team doesn't get it done. And so it's not meant to be a stressor. It's meant to be a plan.
Yeah.
And measurable, what that does is it gives clarity and communication within the organization on the things that matter most. And it gives people a little nudge to say, you know what? I really shouldn't be working on this low revenue thing because it's not really helping me or anyone else, even though I love it. I love working on this. It really doesn't move the needle for me or our company. So I really should be working over here.
Yeah.
It's like giving you permission to say, I'm not going to procrastinate by working on low revenue things. I'm going to give myself direction by working on high revenue things. And so, in fairness, in fairness, like if you made a grid, uh, and you have high revenue in the upper right, low revenue on the upper left, uh, easy, easy, and at the upper left, and hard. Uh, those four boxes. If there are high revenue, easy things to do, usually that box is totally empty. By the way,
Interesting.
you would probably do them first. So if you
Absolutely.
listed out all these to dos in those quadrants, there's almost nothing in the high revenue, easy to do,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not saying you're gonna find all kinds of amazing, easy to do, high revenue tasks. It's just a matter of sorting them out. And guess what? If you're working hard at your business and you have a lot of things going on, and there are three buckets: high revenue, medium revenue, and low revenue, you probably should never get to the low revenue. And let me make one distinction, because people have the hardest time with high revenue. I want to distinguish that. That is not high priority. You could have a very high priority task that is very low revenue. Set up this new employee's email by tomorrow. Super high priority. They're going to sit around and do nothing.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, super low revenue. It's just setting up an email.
Yeah.
High revenue, high priority. I have a client that wants to pay me a lot of money tomorrow. Send them the invoice.
Yeah.
High revenue, high priority. But time bound, specific, measurable is high revenue. It's not high priority. The date you set determines the priority. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. I also really like that you talked about measurable, because so many people just do tasks and project plans with dates and outcomes, but you can't optimize what you can't measure, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And most employees don't think in terms of revenue
No, they do not.
by task, revenue by task. Most people don't think that
Not
way.
at all.
They may think of, I mean, they may have, there might be a big meeting and say, "Whoa, we have this big project. It's the vision, our future. We're going in this direction," and they have a big team meeting about it. We think it's going to generate a lot of revenue, but when it comes down to the actual tasks that people have to do to accomplish any goal, they don't stack rank them typically,
Yeah.
because that's not how people think. But if you stack rank them, you get really efficient in your day.
You guys, and any of you listening that have a project, project management tool or software, and you probably already have templates and systems and you're already using. So just little tweaks with your systems, with what Cary was saying, could be incredibly impactful. I mean, straight away, I'm already going, okay, yeah, I can absolutely see in my business where I can go through and readjust things that I'm doing to bring in this measurable and revenue driven side already. Like when you're talking, my brain's going, this is what I have to do, this is what I have to do. So yeah, brilliant. Yeah, really clear as well.
Well, what I would say, it tends to sort itself out. The moment you take your to-do list and add high, medium, and low revenue,
Yeah,
like
it just,
all of a sudden you're like, oh, maybe I should be working on these things first.
yeah, yeah. Oh, it's amazing. Good distinctions on that. So I'm curious, did you use these 3 tips in your own businesses? Is this how you developed them, or where did they come from?
Yeah, they came from my own
So
experiences, and believe me, I did many things wrong and slow. I ran into brick walls. I got knocked down. I got up, and I had many mentors,
yeah,
and so I learned through trial and error, and I learned through experiences of others. And I really wish somebody early in my career taught me these three things:
and talk to us a little bit about,
pitch before product,
yeah,
sales and marketing
yeah,
pendulum, and stack ranking
stack
revenue.
ranking revenue. You got it. I'm curious then, just in a kind of a simplified journey of you, Cary, and where you've come from, because you've quite the amazing journey. Um, Tell us sort of some of the key milestones or amazing moments with you in your business professional career.
Well, I'm not going to necessarily talk about amazing things, but I will say I can tell you uh, moments in time
Yeah.
where I learned the lessons that helped me develop these three pillars of what I coach today.
Perfect.
So, uh, one experience was I was a trial attorney before I was an entrepreneur, and we had this big trial, and we worked on it for 5 years. We had a long trial. We went through closing argument. We thought we had this thing completely locked down, and the opposing counsel gets up in front of the jury, gives the closing argument, and within 20 minutes, I realized the other side won
Uh-huh.
because I even believed the opposing counsel.
Oh.
And so I'm like, wow, now that is persuasion. And we all have competitors, but what was unique about that situation was we all had the exact same set of facts. And opposing counsel just moved the facts around in a different way and presented them in a different way that was much more compelling and convincing and captivating.
Hmm.
And so I didn't know how valuable that lesson would be, but that was one of the cornerstones of the development of pitch before product.
Okay.
My 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 first company called restaurant.com, we raised money, we hired engineers, we built a product, we went to market, didn't work. Nobody would buy. We raised more money a second time, had a different product, went to market, couldn't scale it. Third time around, no money left, no ability to really change the product. The only thing we could really change was the pitch, and it worked.
Wow.
And again, I didn't have it like nailed down as pitch before product. I was scrambling to just keep a business alive. And we scaled that up to 18,000 clients with pitch before product.
Do you mind sharing what the pitch was, the winning pitch?
Well, I'd say the biggest difference, it was so simple, and it was amazing. Our first pitch was, "We'll build you a website." This is for restaurants.
Yeah.
In its simplest form, not getting to all the nuances of it, the one that worked was, we're going to fill empty tables.
Ah, there you go. There you go.
Crazy how the evolution was so simple, but that was their pain point. And so it's during that business where I had ultimately got up to about 250 people in the sales organization,
Wow.
30 full-time digital marketers. Yep. And we were a hyper-local business growing region by region. And sales and marketing had to be a fine-tuned machine working together. And so I had a data and analytics team that sat in the middle. And those were the first early stages of pitch, of the sales and marketing pendulum, sharing data back and forth.
Got it.
At that time, think about it, I was an attorney, so I really was not a professional in sales or in marketing or technology. But I was able to attract some talent. Our team also helped attract talent. And so we had real professional experts on the sales side and on the marketing side. And I was never going to know more about SEO than our full-time SEO person. And so I very much looked at myself as the coach.
Yeah, interesting.
And so where they're great, I get out of their way. Where they need help, maybe it's people, maybe it's process, I can jump in and help create efficiencies within the business. And so that after restaurant.com led to my first coaching business. And at that business, we did over 10,000 one-on-one coaching calls with our clients and gathered a tremendous amount of data. And so fast forward to today, this is what I'm most passionate about, doing one-on-one coaching and teaching kind of the finer nuances of these three pillars that we talked about today.
Incredible. And with the coaching that you're doing now, is it a different iteration of what you did with the 10,000 calls, or is it still the same business?
Well, no. I like I said, I drink my own Kool-Aid, so I would say it's always improving
Yeah.
and optimizing uh, based upon what's out in the marketplace. And in fact, like um, as you mentioned, like there wasn't project management software back then that was inexpensive and easy to use like there is today. I use Basecamp
Yeah.
to out, I consider it my virtual assistant, and I tell that to my clients, like it's your virtual assistant too. And so this is where you can put in your tasks in smart format. And this is how I can communicate with clients very efficiently without, uh, what I call stack ranking revenue is the end of boring meetings.
Yeah. Heaven. That's heaven to anyone's ears, I'm
Uh,
sure.
so nobody like hits me up on Slack and like, oh, Cary, I have to talk to you. I got this super low revenue idea.
Yep.
And so those kinds of things, think about it, Slack and Basecamp and all the other project man. I mean, people are working on Excel and, I mean, the business automation tools are insane. The AI
Yeah.
tools are
Yeah.
incredible. And so there's, um, yeah, I mean, everything's optimized now. And so there's, uh, an ability to help people move way faster now than before.
Oh, it's incredible. And if people are loving this conversation with you right now and they are interested in getting to know you more, potentially working with you, are you taking on clients, and who do you help?
Yes, I am taking on clients. I help CEOs. I coach them one on one. Maybe if they're not experts in sales and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I also coach anyone responsible for revenue.
Yeah.
So that, depending on the size of the company, could be a chief revenue officer, could be VP of sales and marketing, and where uh, there are a lot of challenges if you have an entrepreneur or a founder or a CEO that's not an expert in sales and marketing, and the sales and marketing team, are trying to communicate with the CEO. Sometimes the CEO is not understanding why things are taking so long, and may or may not be able to help. Uh, and so I can help bridge that gap by setting up these systems. It becomes all very transparent and very, very easy to understand and execute. On the sales and marketing teams, I had this weird and unusual experience of having to learn sales and marketing simultaneously at the same time for many, many, many
Yeah.
years over a long period of time with a lot of people. And that's atypical. Most people grow up in sales or they grow up in marketing.
Yeah.
And then somebody becomes the leader, and sometimes head of sales has marketing reporting to them, but they're not experts in marketing, and so they're not talking the same language. Or you have, this is much less common, the head of marketing oversees sales, and then the sales team is like, this person's never sold anything in their life. And so I can bring clarity to it. I can create systems of efficient communication, and by implementing those processes, uh, things move faster. So yes, I
You are.
I do
Yeah.
coach, and I can take on new clients, and so
And where do people find you? Online, of course. Where do
well,
they go?
yes, online, for sure. Online, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find there. My email address is Cary@profitology.com.
Great. Excellent.
Uh, so maybe that'll be in your show notes or
It will
something. I
be in
don't
the
know,
show notes, you
but
guys. Yes,
okay, okay.
absolutely.
Um,
So, as we start to wrap up, are there any last words of wisdom or anything you just want to really punch out an accent of what our conversation was so far to our listeners?
well, I'm always a big fan of paying it forward.
Yeah.
Uh, so uh, I look for opportunities. Uh, so thank you for having me on. And if if somebody's stressed out there, and I bring it back to that, if somebody is stressed out, go thank somebody, and it'll relieve the stress.
Very simple, but very beautiful and true words of advice. I really like that. So thank you for ending on that note. Much appreciated. And thank you for being here and really sharing incredible, tangible, tactical steps that people can use straight away in their businesses.
Thank you for having me on. Loved it.
Thanks.